All right, yo, what's going on, y'all? So here, as you can see, we got Kawhi Leonard. This is on First Take. They were talking about Kawhi Leonard, signing the extension after the successful surgery that he had on the AC or the MCL or ACL tear, the partial ACL tear, and he was actually misdiagnosed as well. So I'm gonna follow that one up when they talk about the misdiagnostic that they gave Kawhi Leonard, and we're gonna bring that one up. Following up on Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. So with this one, what they were talking about once again, um, is Kawhi Leonard trying to sign the extension on what's at stake and things of that nature. And let me just say this real quick: Kawhi Leonard isn't a guy that shocks me, who's worried about you know getting an extra $10 million. All right, so Kawhi Leonard already signed, if I'm not mistaken, a $180 million deal or $190 million deal back in San Antonio. All right, so LeBron chalks me as or I see Kawhi Leonard as a guy. I don't know why I keep saying LeBron James, but Kawhi Leonard shocks me as a guy who does well and who does well financially, doesn't just blow all his money, um, and actually has seems like he has pretty good investments. Also he has the shoe deal. He's on commercials and things of that nature. He has his uncle Dennis in his life, who is a masculine energy in his life, who's been providing over his lifestyle since the death of his father. So these are really good things that I don't think that LeBron or damn it, I don't think that Kawhi Leonard will be moved by an extra $10 million. And I think with him balling out in the playoffs, maybe had something to do with it this year, with him trying to get play for those certain incentives because he was playing at an all time high, still leads the league in the PER. But that's aside from the point. So let's just get into it and see what they're talking about.
At the forefront, Kawhi has a player option in his contract and can choose to opt in for $36 million in 2021-22. Leonard doesn't have full bird rights, and that would restrict him to a 4-year, $176.2 million deal. That's real money if he declines the option, according to Bobby Marks. I'll start with you, Keith. What does this mean?
So real quick before they let Keith delusional ass get to it, let's read it real quick, right? Kawhi Leonard's contract options if he stayed with the Clippers. He's expected to decline a $36 million player option. He can re-sign with the Clippers this offseason for 4 years, projected $176 million, and can re-sign with the Clippers for one season, then re-sign the 5-year supermax deal for next summer. So, in my honest opinion, I feel like the most reasonable one that Kawhi would do would be the middle one, the second one, re-sign. But you got to also understand, with Kawhi Leonard being misdiagnosed by the Clippers training staff, this is looking like the writing on the walls from the same thing with the Spurs series, or not with the Spurs series, but the same with the Spurs fiasco. You got to understand. So, this is looking a little bit, not even a little bit like that, but the Spurs situation was a little bit worse because you had, Rudy Gay, Tony Parker coming out saying things against Kawhi Leonard, and you also had Greg Popovich, coming out also saying things about Kawhi Leonard, saying that just sending surreptitious shots through the media and in interviews to try to put pressure on Kawhi Leonard to come back. But one thing about Kawhi Leonard is, once you've crossed him, you've lost him. Once you've crossed him, you lost him. So, at least with me in particular, if you're gonna be able to keep Kawhi Leonard, you're gonna have to be able to get rid of that training staff. You're gonna have to be able to do a lot to be able to woe this man. So I don't see Kawhi re-signing anytime soon. I see Kawhi Leonard resting out his options, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard leaves. Just my honest opinion. I feel like me personally, you run it back, but this is not. We're not talking about my feelings, because that has nothing to do when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, especially a player like Kawhi Leonard, who doesn't allow anyone to get into his mind. So that's going to play a huge part in, you know, which is why the only person who's really been accurate, ahead of the Wojs and everybody else, was Skip Bayless, because at least it seems to me that it's obvious that he keeps in contact with, Uncle Dennis or somebody in Kawhi Leonard's camp. And to me, that's Uncle Dennis, because he's been ahead of it the entire time. So with the entire, ACL tear or partial ACL or MCL tear that Kawhi Leonard has had, you got to take into consideration this is the same. It seems like a little bit of the same scenario with the Spurs. Okay, they were putting, they were saying game by game, it was day in, day out, Kawhi Leonard can play. But that's, if Kawhi Leonard were to have been able, not even been able to, but if Kawhi were to have went out there and risked himself, right, and risking blowing out his entire knee, right, and which we all know he's had knee injuries in the past. This could have ruined, not even ruined, but this could have ended Kawhi Leonard's career. Me personally, if I'm Kawhi Leonard, with this type of situation, man, I'd retire, because you got to understand, when it comes to the Clippers and any team, any organization, right? It's just like so-called being a rapper. When you sign these record deals, yeah, they have lawyers and they have people who work for the team. They don't work for you. This is why you have to be able to make sure you are like a Kawhi Leonard. You have to make sure you have a very positive masculine father figure or male role model in your life to preside over you, to help you with certain things like this. You understand? Because when it comes to the situation that you put yourself in, when it comes to signing your rights away and signing to a team, right? They have lawyers, they have doctors that work for the team, right? That's the team is paying them, so of course they can misdiagnose you. We heard exactly what happened with Andre Iguodala and Kevin Durant, when they were both misdiagnosed as well, or were the training staff purposely lied about the injury, right? So when it comes to situations like this, they're in the pockets of the team, of the organization. You have to have somebody who's in your pocket. You understand? This is why I can't necessarily call what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. But anyway, let's get right back to it.
For Kawhi's future in LA.
It means nothing other than signing that extension for 4 years. Why even think about leaving and going anywhere else? I mean,
well, you got to understand, this is what you guys are not taking into consideration, that Skip Bayless was ahead of the curve. All right, that he was right. He was going to need surgery. And, once again, once you cross Kawhi Leonard, he's done. Once you crossed him, you lost him. So there's a lot of things you would have to be able to take into consideration with this type of situation, especially with Kawhi Leonard. We've never really seen a superstar like this, who usually they tell the media, or the media pushes for these guys to speak your opinion and wooty woo. But Kawhi Leonard is not that type of guy. All right, he's not going to let the media and nobody know what's going on in his mind. He's the type of player who probably wouldn't even tell his brothers, family, his wife, certain decisions, because we know that certain media outlets have, certain people's numbers, and they can, get it out of them easily. Not even easily. They have their way of finessing it out of people. You understand? So there's a lot you have to take into consideration. You can't just speak matter of fact when it comes to Kawhi Leonard. You can't just speak matter of fact. So let's get back to it.
You had the short stop in Toronto. You won the championship, but you put this team together essentially in Los Angeles with the Clippers. You went out and got Paul George. You were part of the decision making to move on from Glenn Rivers, who was Doc once upon a time, but now wants to be called Glenn. You decided to say, hey, we want to move on from this, and you're important to the city. This is what you wanted to do. So talking about leaving or going somewhere else just makes zero sense. Plus, Ballmer's not going to allow that to happen.
Well, you don't know that. Once again, Kawhi Leonard's contract is up at the end of the season. He has the player option deal, so you can't definitively just say that. That's why, this is why, even the little, not even the pro-truth community, but, little platforms like, Kwame Brown Bust Life, shout out to Kwame Brown Bust Life, Carcino for Life. That's not a small channel. Independent media outlets like Dreamers Pro Max and things of that nature. This is why this is important, because it provides a balance to the bullshit that the media is talking about. How can all season long you guys talk shit about Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers? All right, now you guys are trying to flip it and make it seem as if, Kawhi Leonard put this team together and there's no reason for him to leave. Yes, there is a reason for him to leave if he feels he has been crossed. Don't make it seem like this is not something that we have seen before. And once again, this is why we have to give Skip Bayless a lot of credit, because he was the one. And once again, to me, he's been talking to Uncle Dennis because he's had it right on the nose the entire time. How can you speak matter of fact about what Kawhi Leonard is going to do and what he should do when Kawhi Leonard doesn't speak?
He's going to do everything within his power, along with Ty Lue, to keep the top player on their team. Why wouldn't you? Damn it.
Doc goes 10 deep in the playoffs instead of shortening the rotation, and Key took his PhD away.
He the one said he wanted to be referred to as Glenn Rivers, so I'm trying my best
being
to say
respectful.
Glenn Rivers and not Doc.
That's gonna be
He's
hard
got to win another championship, then it's back to
That's gonna be hard
Doc.
to break, though, because we've been calling him that for so many years. But yes, we will.
This is the thing about Kawhi. I don't think he should leave LA either. And my guess is he won't, although people have been talking about Miami, and you could understand why. But in LA, he has a great coach and an excellent team. And I believe, had he not been hurt, they would have won the championship this year.
Agreed. And aside from that, you got to understand, too, the Los Angeles Clippers is just like with the Los Angeles Lakers when LeVar Ball was saying the things about Lonzo Ball not being able to get play and, where the Lakers went that first year. And you see they got rid of the training staff. You understand? So LeVar Ball was on something right. And when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, right, when you see when Kawhi Leonard first got hurt, right, he ran off the court and went to go sit down and went to go, went on the bench immediately. He knew something was wrong. Kawhi Leonard knew something was wrong, and he's the type of person that, will put something out, even with Magic Johnson and LeBron James, when they said that they had him. Oh, yeah, we got him. Oh, yeah, we got him. He's coming. We got him. It's for sure. And we saw what happened. So Kawhi Leonard works, in different ways. He operates behind the scenes a lot. You understand? So with this season, with Kawhi Leonard being, I'm sorry, I keep saying fucking LeBron, but with Kawhi Leonard operating so much, in the shadows, once again, this is why you can't necessarily just say what Kawhi Leonard is going to do. I say run it back if it's me, but I don't know Kawhi Leonard's mind. I don't know Kawhi Leonard on a personal level. And this is why, we're also going to need the Skip Bayless also afterwards, so they'll be able to fill in a lot of the holes.
You know what I think is going on with Kawhi right now?
What?
Because we always apply this to LeBron. And it happened to Kobe, and since Michael Jordan, like once upon a time, you did not have to win the championship every single year.
And you see, Key got a little bit offended when he said that. And this is, I think, this is where this is probably going to take a turn, because we all know that Key is a LeBron James super fan. He'd be meat riding LeBron James just like Shannon Sharp does, just like Kendrick Perkins does, Stephen A. Smith does. But sometimes Stephen A. Smith he don't take his meds or whatever the case may be, and he'll start speaking some truth bombs. But as of recently, Stephen A. Smith been on some straight bullshit. And I'm not gonna lie, Max Kellerman has been one of the only truth tellers when it comes to the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard. You got to understand when you're a superstar, at the peak of your career, you're going to be expected to contend for championships and compete for championships. With Michael Jordan, and I'm only 23, so I wasn't able to see Michael Jordan in his prime or anything like that. I've only been able to go back and watch old playoff runs, which is why I have a pretty good understanding of LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, the Karl Malones, the Hakeem Olajuwons. I have a very good understanding on the history of basketball because I go back and I actually watch and understand. So you got to understand, when you're a superstar at the peak of your career, you're expected to compete, if not win championships. You understand? So, and Max Kellerman makes a very good point. Tim Duncan at the prime of his career wasn't expected to win, or wasn't a failure if he didn't win and go to the finals, or if he didn't win a finals every single year. You understand? Same thing with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, there was a very long while where without Shaq and Phil Jackson, before they got Pau Gasol, Kobe couldn't make it out the first round, and he was barely making the playoffs. All right, so you got to understand, when with a person like Kawhi Leonard. So with a person like Kawhi Leonard, a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James, these people, because they're expected to, because their dominance and their IQ level was so high, they're always going to be expected to fit the Michael Jordan mold, because that's what Michael Jordan left behind. Kobe Bryant kind of fit a little bit of the Michael Jordan mold as well, but he was nowhere near the Michael Jordan mold that the LeBron James has reached or has eclipsed. And a lot of people, once again disagree and don't like when I say this, but LeBron James is greater than Kobe Bryant. All right, when it comes to LeBron James, he's always expected to be in the finals and always be competing for a championship. All right, so because of the luxury that because of how great and phenomenal that Michael Jordan played and his legacy and how much it stood out, these are certain things that are unfortunate to today's superstars because they're going to have to be expected to be in the finals and win a finals every single year when you're at the peak of the year, especially when or not the peak of the year when you're at the peak of your career, especially when you're building teams to your mold. So when you build a team to your mold and to your liking, of course, it's going to look bad when you don't live up to those expectations. But you got to understand it takes a lot to be able to win a championship. All right, the Lakers got bounced in the first round. Okay, they were the first team to ever win the finals and get bounced in the first round the following year. That's never happened before. You got to understand in today's NBA, even though with everybody being able to team up and make your own teams, the league is they're all pretty much very well caught up with each other because everybody plays the same brand of basketball. And this is why Kawhi Leonard helped balance out the NBA because just like the Kevin Durant's and the Chris Paul's, these are the people that are going to work out the mid range, and that just adds another dynamic into their scoring, into their arsenal of basketball. And it helps into the flow of basketball when you're working out the range and with the back to the basket game and things of that nature. Same thing with Nikola Jokic. You understand? Even Luka Doncic to an extent. But anyways, when it comes to, especially the landscape of the NBA today, you're going to be expecting the superstars to always be competing for a championship, if not being in the championship.
And then people were saying, what's wrong? You didn't win the championship this year. Like Magic and Bird traded years where they won championships.
But the problem with this now, Max, is you.
Yeah, but Magic and Bird are top 5, top 6 NBA players of all time, greatest players of all time. Top 5 easily. Even the Michael Jordans. But this is why, it was great for the league. It was great that Michael Jordan came to the league and things of that nature. But this is why, it also wasn't too good because as generations go on, you're supposed to be able to the game of basketball and sports to be able to surpass generations. With Michael Jordan, you can't really there probably would never be another man to be able to eclipse that perfection that Michael Jordan has and that mystique. This is why we always expect somebody, they didn't win the championship, what happened? No, it was a bust. And you gotta understand if this was a bust for the Clippers, 2 years, a team who's never made the Western Conference Finals, right? If this team, let's say they do happen to sign Kawhi Leonard, right? What happens if they win one ring within this next tenure? Because we look at LeBron James. When was the last time LeBron James won the finals? 2016 won, 2021. It's been 5 years. LeBron James has won one ring in 4 or 5 years. Is that looked at as a failure? But you got to understand, because of the effect that Michael Jordan had on the NBA, everyone is expected to be damn near perfect. And especially because with the media, they have fanboys who love to, pick out who they want to dick ride and who they want to ride and whose coattail they want to ride. And then it inflates, a lot of the talking points that you guys talk about. Because how is it that you guys talk so down about this team and the Kawhi Leonards and things of that nature, and then, you guys try to be realistic as soon as they leave? It was like a breath of fresh air. You understand? And that's how, once again, I said it the last time, a code red has been issued on the Los Angeles Lakers and Kawhi Leonard in particular. But let's get back to it.
Putting it together to win the championship. So we're expecting you to win it.
Okay, but the point is this. LeBron is held.
Right, but since when historically have we ever expected a team to ever just get assembled? A team who's never won anything historically. Historically, a team. Not even that a player has had something accomplished, because the only player on that team that had something accomplished was Kawhi Leonard. Nobody else on that team has ever accomplished anything. All right, you can say Paul George, he's never been a winner or anything. He's never really won anything. He's led his team to multiple Eastern Conference championships, Eastern Conference appearances, and going to Game 7 battling against super teams, but he's only going to be able to take you so far. And once again, the Los Angeles Clippers culture is not of a winning culture. So you're gonna have to be able to establish a whole new culture. How is it a failure when a team who's never won anything All right, it took LeBron what in his ninth year, in his 11th year to be able to win a ring for Cleveland. You understand? So, what actually are we talking about here?
To the Jordan standard. Every year he doesn't win the chip. What happened? So is Kawhi, though. Like, Kawhi has been
Agreed.
Because you're
Finals
putting
MVP
teams
twice.
together to win the championship, though.
Eventually, it doesn't have to happen in years one or two.
What?
Agreed. And that's the thing. When it comes to building a new, the Clippers had to build a new culture. When Michael Jordan got drafted to the Bulls, and then they got Scottie Pippen. As soon as they got Scottie Pippen, they weren't expected to win the finals. It takes time to be able to mold guys, and you have to be able to build a new culture. And we understand the only team that's ever been able to put a team together in 1 or 2 years and then be able to win a championship is the Lakers with Anthony Davis. But with the Mickey Mouse championship, we seen that was a fluke. Because we saw what happened this year. Them niggas got bounced in the first fucking round. The first time historically ever a team has won the NBA championship and got bounced in the first round. That has never happened before. So you got to understand, the Lakers already had a culture of winning. All right? LeBron James had to go accomplish something. He had to leave Cleveland, go accomplish something, then come back and then try to rebuild that culture. And it didn't take 1 year. They were expected to get to the finals and win in 1 year because he has that Michael Jordan level of expectation. But you got to understand, when it comes to building a new culture, it's going to take time. How can it be considered a failure and it's only been 2 years? And 1 year, Kawhi Leonard got hurt. They took a step each year. Well, not took a step, but they took a step this year. Even without their best player, they were still able to take the Suns 6 games. A team that the defending champions had their best player. And LeBron James, and were barely able to go 6 games, and they got smoked. So, what are we talking about?
When you go out there and you tell your organization, go get me that, go get me this,
Yep.
That's because you're trying to win right now.
Well,
Of course, you're trying to win right now, but it's going to take time to be able to get to the point to put yourself in a position to win. Once again, you have to be able to build a new culture. When it comes to building a new culture, it takes time. You have to be able to mesh. It takes chemistry. You understand? And this is the reason why you have to be able to consider not LeBron James. I don't know why I keep doing this, bro, but you have to consider Kawhi Leonard of that mold, of the Michael Jordan ilk, because you put that expectation on him yourself. Listen to yourself.
You're not saying go give me this, that.
let me ask
2
you
years,
this.
3 years.
I have a
from now.
question. Okay, so let's say Kawhi, in the first 4 years that he's a Clipper, wins a championship. Is that a huge success?
But we're
Yes, that's a success because the Clippers never won anything, has never won anything. Okay, it's different than LeBron James going to the Lakers because the Lakers have already had a culture of winning championships. Maybe not of the recent years, but they still have a culture there that they inherited. You understand?
not waiting 4 years.
But it's already
For
been
the Clippers
two.
franchise,
We're
it
not
is.
waiting.
It's already been two.
If you're the Clippers, you wait as long as it takes to get a finals. What is the point of you getting Kawhi Leonard? So you just went out and got a superstar just so you can win in 2 years? No. If you have Kawhi Leonard, as long as you have him, you are in a position to be able to compete for championships. You secure a superstar, so that way, the time that you have him, it puts you in a position. Was Dan Gilbert happy? Would you think Dan Gilbert was happy? Was not happy that he only got one finals out of the 10 years, out of the 8 years, however long LeBron James spent in Cleveland? He was satisfied because he got one. The Cleveland Cavaliers have never won anything. So yes, do you hear yourself?
I get it.
And if the
I
next
get
2
it.
years he
But
wins one,
those
he did
first
it.
2 years have been a disappointment to people.
How can the first 2 years be a disappointment when the Clippers have never won anything? Yeah, they were favored to be able to get there, and probably favored to win too. But just like the Lakers were, but the Lakers were favored to win and get back this year as well. What happened? Is this year a disappointment? Once again, it was how long that LeBron James spent on the Cavaliers. Is it a disappointment that he's only won one ring? Is it a disappointment that he teamed up with the Miami Heat and was supposed to win not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, and only won two? Would you call that a disappointment? Would you call it a disappointment that the Lakers only won one championship, and LeBron James said he was going to do it for Kobe and live up the hold up that standard for Kobe and continue to live on Kobe's legacy for the Lakers. Kobe went back to back, and they three-peated with Shaq. So was this a disappointment? Because the Lakers have already had standards of winning championships. The Clippers have expectations of reaching championships and winning a championship. That's the difference.
Like your friend Marcellus Wiley, who is a Clipper fan. That's a disappointment because we went out.
And once again, that's a problem. That's a disappointment to Clippers fans because you're not supposed to be considered a fan of anything. Once again, once you become a fan, you have that envious spirit. You have that female spirit on you, and you get too emotionally invested in things. That's not the case. This is a team sport. All right, there's no way you should be emotionally invested in what another man, especially a whole group of men which you don't know. You understand? There's no reason you should be feeling some type of way about your team losing like that. Of course, you can feel down, but because that's your team. But there's no way you should be emotionally invested into that. That's why we don't consider ourselves fans over here.
Gave up draft picks. We spending money. We
wouldn't
fired
say
a coach. That's what we wanted to do.
I wouldn't say it's a disappointment yet because
it's such a disappointment.
I would agree with Max Kellerman. It's not a disappointment yet. As of right now, you're not satisfied, but you can't consider this a disappointment. Your best player got hurt. All right? And once again, if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, the Clippers are in the finals right now. And they win the finals. We saw what happened when Kawhi Leonard went up against Giannis Antetokounmpo when he was hobbled, when he was injured in Toronto. And he still dominated him. And that entire 76ers team with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Jimmy Butler. Kawhi Leonard did that on a hobbled leg. All right? So how can you say that this is a disappointment?
To my point, we all have to take a step back and say, no one's Michael Jordan. As soon as you give him...
Agreed. And once again, because you have that Michael Jordan-esque standard, you're pretty much compared to God. You understand? And if the Clippers were to, let's say the Clippers do win the finals this year, even without Kawhi Leonard, the Paul George takes him there, everyone turns and says, oh, Kawhi Leonard has to leave. He joined LA. And even if the Clippers win, right? Or even if they lose, oh, the Clippers were able to get there without their best player. This is Paul George's team. Kawhi Leonard should go somewhere else. He did all of this and called himself the king of LA when Paul George is really the... Come on, bro. So what are we really talking about?
Crew, he wins it every year. There are going to be years where you don't win it. Kawhi wins one with the Clippers.
Agreed.
It's not the Brooklyn Nets and KD. KD signed with a torn Achilles. We knew.
But Kevin Durant is a superstar, and Kevin Durant is a two-time Finals MVP, just like Kawhi Leonard. What the hell are you talking about? Kawhi Leonard won the Finals MVP injured. What are you talking about? Kawhi Leonard won the Finals MVP, and every team that went to go try to sign Kawhi Leonard was going to be able to take load management with that. What are you talking about?
1 year was going to be wasted. Last year, whether bubble or not bubble, they got bounced.
Just like the Lakers did this year after they won the finals, the first team to ever win the championship and get bounced in the first round. No team historically has ever done that, but the Lakers did that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about somehow a team who's never won anything being a disappointment after 2 years and 1 year, their best player gets hurt. And they're literally one player. They're literally one superstar away. One player. They're literally Kawhi Leonard away from winning the finals once again. And Kawhi Leonard was still, he looked a little bit injured and hobbled, if you ask me. Limping around the entire time. Every time he comes down on a dunk, he's grabbing at his knee, his right knee. Even against the Jazz. Even against the Mavericks. So what are we talking about?
Clippers win one chip in Kawhi's tenure with the Clippers. Is it a success or not?
It's a success.
Success.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that answers your question, Key. Come on, move on.
They didn't sign up for 5 years from now. They signed up for today.
Right, but did they get Kawhi Leonard now, hoping that they will also be able to secure him in the future because of what they will be able to accomplish, knowing that he wanted to go there? This is a destination that Kawhi Leonard picked. What are these brothers talking about, man?
Yeah, that's okay. Not only one
You're not
team can
sa-
win it.
All right, agree to disagree. First, you don't
Yeah, disagree to disagree, man. Take that L, Key.
succeed, try again. Hey, Perk, you got me now.